Hi guys, and welcome to yet another Dash Devcast. Today I'm going to do actually two videos. This is the first video and I will talk a little bit about the new features, overall new features to UI and to UX in the new Dash 0.5.4, and then there will be another video about event sequencers. So let's dive straight into it. So here are some new features. As you can see right away, one of the new features is that now you have a visual identification for the start and on enable nodes or inputs. So you can set it in the inspector, and then the input inside the dash graph will be marked as a start one. So you are aware at all the time you are editing the graph which one is used. You can also remove and set it using the context menu on the input. You can also set both. Obviously, it's the on enable input as well, or even a preview. So it will it will be all stacked up. There will be maybe a slight change when the identification for the node is visible, because now you cannot see that, but that will be solved. Okay, let me change it back, or like this. And this one was a preview. So next new feature is a local retargeting information. So now every node that does local retargeting now has an information about it. So if I disable the local retargeting for the set active node, there is no info about the local retargeting. That means that the set active is happening on the target inside the flow data. If I retarget it to something, I will know about it right away from the visual input from the graph, which is handy. So you can also use a reference, then it will be blue. So you will see right away which one of those are references, for example, like this, and which one are just string retargeting. Another new feature is reconnection. Now there's this new dot in the middle of the connections, and you can reconnect them like this. So it is easier to work with the graphs with reconnecting nodes. There are some other features to that coming as well. Another new feature that you can see here is that every node knows when, or tries to know, it's up to the implementation of the node, when it is synchronous and when it is asynchronous. So this is the identification for an asynchronous node. So it means that this node will happen in time. It has some, it will take some time to execute, whereas this node is instantly executed as synchronous. Obviously, the animation nodes are asynchronous in most cases, but you can see, for example, in the height, there are some synchronous animation nodes because they have a zero time. So this is another good visual feedback that you can see where are your asynchronous nodes. For example, this is not an animation node, but this is a retargeting node that has some delays. So you can see right away that it will be executed asynchronously. It will take time to execute. So, and here is the retargeting as well, but it has no delays. So it will be synchronous and executed instantaneously. If there is some time, it will be automatically marked as an asynchronous node. And also, if there is some expression, I can even remove it. It will also mark it as an asynchronous node, because it doesn't know what the expression will be at the runtime. It can be 0, so it will be executed instantaneously, but the bigger probability is that it will be executed in time, so it's marked like this. Maybe I will even differentiate between the constantly asynchronous nodes or an expression based asynchronous nodes. So now make it synchronous. So let's move to some other features. One of the new features is not a new feature, it was there already, but it was made better, I say. It's using the references. So for example, I have this retarget to children node, and there is this child delay. So every child will be retargeted in a basically 0.2 seconds. So it will be targeted to the first button, then in 0.2 seconds it will be targeted to the second one. So, and let's say I am animating these buttons out of the way, and I'm using the same time that it takes to retarget to the next child. So what if I want to change this to 0, 1, and then I want to change this as well. So there is, as many of you know, it's in the documentation that you can use referencing to this value inside the graph. And now it's very easy to just copy a reference and paste reference, and it will be automatically marked as an expression, and the expression will be basically the reference to this property. So if I change this to 0, 1, this will be used the same. It will use the same time. So I can also, if I want to modify it in any way, so it will be always by 1 second or by 0, 1 second longer, I can use the same expression syntax as anywhere else. So, and as you can see, it's not really a new feature. I'm just using it here as an accumulate node, so I want to point it out. It's this is one of the use cases. For example, if I want to fire this event when all this happens, I can use any count on this input, and since I know how many children are there, there are 4, and I can even include this too, which is the animation of the content and the animation of the title, and make it 6. It will always end when every one of these nodes is executed. I don't really need to do something like this, that there is an unfinished with a slightly bigger delay. This is just the two different approaches. This is more risky. If I change this to 3.5 or something, or maybe these animations are longer, I'm screwed, as I said. So what you can also do in accumulate node is obviously switch this to an expression. I can do something like this, or I can do target, because I'm on a button. I'm on retarget to children, so I'm on one of the buttons. I can do target, which is the button parent, which is the transform parent of the button. So there are all the buttons under it, and I can do child count +2, because I want these two inputs as well. And if I add any more buttons there, it will automatically work. Whereas if I put just the 6 there, it will not work. Or it will not wait for the last button, obviously. So this the resolving of the nested properties was modified in the latest version as well. It now supports resolving for the references. It supports resolving in multiple levels, basically. This is one level to parent and another level to child count. And it now also supports resolving of parameters in a nested resolving. So for example, if the parent, it's not here, but if the parent was a parameter, not a value property, it would automatically try to resolve that parameter. It is especially if you are using, as I said here, if you are using this. So this on-child delay is a parameter. As you can see here, is a parameter property. So if I try to resolve it, it will feed the flow data from this execution, not from there, obviously. So it may be a different approach to how you manage your flow data. But you can do it, and it will automatically, obviously, resolve all the variables as well. So that's the another new feature. And finally, there are two new nodes that I wanted to introduce. They're in preview. And they're very handy. I got a lot of feedback that there is a lot of nodes needed in many scenarios that are just needed for basically housekeeping. For example, like I want to have a state here in this start of the show event of the screen, and then I want to restore the state here. So there are new two new nodes. One is a store state and one is restore state. And what they do, they are marked as a preview. What they do, they can store the state of your transform and all its children. So if I don't retarget, it supports retargeting, and I do it here. Uh, I can basically store the whole state for this whole hierarchy. It will go deep, 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 all the state. I maybe include some kind of filters. What do we want to save and what not? But at the moment, the main options are basically you can include the target itself or just its children. And you can specify if you want to store the active state of all the transform or what's their active state and the position. I will include the rotation and scale and etc. It's the easy part to include all the other stuff. And then you can specify if you want to store it in attribute, so it will be stored in the flow data. And what's the name of the attribute, or you can use a variable, so it will be stored in the graph variables. This is especially good if you want to store it, for example, on input and then just restore it here. So you don't really need to send it through the flow data. And again, there is this restore state node that basically you just specify from where you want to restore. Sorry, Mike again. So it will look up for the attribute and variable. The retargeting is not really needed here, so I will probably remove it because it will go over the transforms already in the storage and try to restore all the transforms there. It will not try to match it to a different target, obviously. A new feature is also on the boxes. You can now resize the boxes because a lot of people gave me feedback that once you create the box, it's not resizable, so they really need to delete the box and then create a new one. etc. So now you can resize the boxes as well. And there are other new features like the fixes to some serialization and if you can call fixes as a features, and obviously new functions. For example, you now have expression functions for the color, and you can also have a support in the UI for the color. Uh, so variables can be color, and you can specify them, or you can set variable in with for example modifier, and it can be color, and yeah, the expression can be like 111. So it will be a white color and one with alpha. You can do this syntax or this syntax. It will automatically resolve it. So and I think that's that's all. There are definitely more UX features coming as well, because as I go through this, okay, this would be handy, this would be handy. I always have new ideas in 5 different uh, vectors or directions, so I just write them down, and I'm also thankful for all your feedback. So let's hope to make this more usable and more user-friendly as well. So that's all for the first devcast, and there will be a second video about event aggregation, which was something that we really needed inside our company. And since I talked about some of you guys about your use cases, I think it will be very handy for you as well. So thanks, and we'll see in the next video.